Hey guys, Rex here. Do you need potassium iodide tablets? That is the question in the video today. Okay, had a couple questions and one of them from my bro Matthew down in Houston asking, hey man, what are your thoughts on potassium iodide? And can you find stuff that's kosher? And what's the best kind and all that? Well, here's the deal. Potassium iodide is good to have in case of nuclear disaster. It's good to have if there's no nuclear disaster. And it's not just potassium iodide, it's actually the element iodine. Your body needs iodine all the time, every day. It's for multiple things. It goes into your glandular system, right? Thyroid grabs it. Iodine is a halogen element, so the valence electron configuration grabs on all kinds of stuff. They have to hook it on to potassium and create basically a salt to where it's stable. That's why it's potassium iodide. It's just stabilizing the iodine. You need iodine, okay? And you also need potassium too, right? But that's a different deal. So, in short, yeah, it's helpful because your risk of getting thyroid cancer can increase a little bit after 5 to 10 or 15 years after exposure to iodine 131. See, your body wants iodine, but your body likes there to be like 74 neutrons on that iodine, not 78. There's 78 neutrons on the iodine because there's 53 protons in iodine, right? If you get 78, that means you got 4 extra neutrons, and now you have a problem. It's radioactive. It puts off gamma rays, beta, and also it's not good for you, okay? It'll barbecue your thyroid gland, and over time you can develop cancer. I think the increase in cancer after the Hiroshima attack was in young people like 28% increase in risk of getting cancer. Not 28% of people getting the cancer, a 28% risk increase, which is actually kind of small compared to what they make it seem like in the TV movies. Like, oh, nuclear bomb hit, you just been in the fallout, the rain hits you. No problem, just drink some iodine, you'll be fine. Iodine will specifically help young people, okay? Now, if you're old, like old Rex, like I'm so old, right? Not that old, but if you're over 30, it's not really as big of a risk because like your thyroid is not taking up all the iodine like a young person. A kid will really want to have that for long-term survivability and not getting thyroid cancer. Now, I think that like they attributed 36% of all different thyroid cancers in those fallout zones from the Cold War testing and Hiroshima and some nuclear disasters. 36% of thyroid cancer was actually attributed to iodine 131, particularly in like milk, because it lands in the environment, lands all over the soil and the grass. It's taken in by the grasses. The cattle eat the grasses, and then it bioaccumulates in the milk. And so you get a lot more dose when you drink milk from animals or whatever toxicities in the environment, right? And so, yeah, like it can help, and everyone needs iodine anyways. Adults need it, kids need it. But if your body is already full of natural non-radioactive iodine, it doesn't need to uptake anymore because everything's already fully saturated, or you have your max limit. And so your body's not just thirsty for it, just sucking it in, right? Because you'll get it in through your skin and everything. You'll breathe it, you'll eat it, any water you drink, it's all over the environment. And iodine's a common element, right? And so having, for kids who are growing and their thyroid is a lot more active, they should probably have iodine. If you like your kids, I don't know, right? There's a variety of different kinds. A lot of them are based on sea life. I think they can get it out of seaweed, shellfish for some of it. There's a lot of different, I don't know, like the iodine industry, exactly how they do that. Some of the stuff that gets actually from a byproduct of drilling, where just like pure iodine out of the ground. So there's a variety of different kinds. There's like stuff attached to they put it in salt. Like you don't want brominated salt probably because that's a bad kind of halogen attached there. You want iodized salt, okay? Because they supplemented into the salt. That actually was one of the good things that the government did back in the old days when they actually liked people, right? So yeah, I mean, iodine's good to have on hand. but it's not going to save you from the general effects of radiation. It's just specifically going to reduce your chances and your risk of getting thyroid cancer, assuming you survive all the other stuff. Like, there's a lot of other problems in a nuclear war, like all the effects from the fallout, besides the uptake of iodine-131. Like, it's going to be really rough. I mean, if you get piled on like a foot of ash because you're downwind of like missile fields, you better be in a basement for a while, and you better put on your PPE, your MOP 4 gear or whatever, right? Because it's going to be very, very rough on you. Or just be where the fallout isn't, if that's possible, right? Try to avoid the major fallout areas. So yeah, iodine can help, but like, I wouldn't be in a panic trying to acquire it. There's other ways to supplement for iodine too. And the other thing too is here's the deal. If the nukes fall and, all right, son, we're going to save you from getting the radioactive iodine, start taking this pill because the nuclear war started. You got to build it up in your system beforehand. So your system has to be fully saturated. It takes a little bit of time for your body to uptake all this stuff, right? So you can't just start like in the middle or after exposure or like the same day it happens. You have to systematically incorporate this into your diet so that everything's filled out. That's how that would work properly, right? So you don't just put it on the shelf. You should be eating iodine. You should be stuff rich in iodine all the time, okay? So that you have plenty. Actually, the wife supplements iodine. I did for a while. Probably should start that again, but something you don't want to neglect. It's important. So yeah, man, that's the story on iodine. Study the effects of fallout, and it's totally survivable, unless it's a real bad war and you're in a bad area. I mean, it's not going to be very good, but you can survive fallout. People have survived fallout before, and granted, they were just a couple very small yield weapons, not thousands of large yield weapons being dropped all over the face of the earth, which would be terrible, right? But theoretically, it's possible to survive. A lot of the half-lives occur in the first couple minutes and hours and days. And then after a month of being maybe sheltered or whatever, a lot of the effect is way reduced, right? And eventually the environment is very strong and eventually cleans it out. Assuming there's not like a nuclear winter, just theoretical, but no one's ever had a full-scale nuclear war. We've detonated, I think, 1,500 atmospheric nuclear bombs, like in the atmosphere during the testing phase, which would be a nuclear war. 1,500 nukes going off, large yield ones, small yield ones, all the stuff, right? So we've already gone through a lot of fallout just from the nuclear testing that, like, when my dad was a kid, right? So that's already been floating around. It's already been a problem. But we've never had like a full scale where you light them all off on the same day, which is what a nuclear war most likely would be. It'd be like 1 or 2 days, right? The Bible says, for in 1 hour shall her judgment come. No, that's going to be good, right? Is that talking about a nuclear war? Well, I don't know. It talks about a fire judgment on the entire, the sinful earth of Babylon the Great. So we shall see. We shall see soon. Yeah, iodine's good. Best to just be away from where you would need it if you can, right? I'm in kind of an area where it's a little sketchy, depending on the way the wind blows, but I got different level of security for my nuclear war preps are a whole different dimension. So I'm not super worried about it. But if you guys want to hear more about that stuff, you want to talk about, we're going through a long range training deal and all kinds of fun stuff over on Patreon. You can sign up on Patreon. Thank you for your support. If you are on Patreon, I will answer your questions. Like this question came in from a bro. So I will answer your questions, especially if you're on Patreon. Like I will make videos on that. So you guys have a good day. Rex out.